Welcome, friends. Welcome to today's Reconsider It live stream. Best live stream you're gonna see all day. And here on this live stream, you are going to get a very nice hour or more of some RC505 beat making. Man, it's going to be so good. Yeah, I've already got the foundation of the beat going. Gonna be building that up, talking with you about how I make this, what buttons do I press. Let me know what you want to know about the loopers. My regulars know what it is. Speaking of my regulars, my friends in the live, in the chat here on the live. You know who's with us. George G. Welcome. As well as George being with us is like a top shelf experience enough and more. But in addition to that, you are very excited to learn that in the chat we have Steve. Man, that is good. The man himself. The man himself. Viral Beat. As well as our very long-time friend joining us in a most welcome way. Whew. Man, things are just going so well already. And here in this warm-up phase, as we chill out to this beginning foundation of a beat that I made, right now we're just getting the blood flowing. And whilst we get the blood flowing, I need to celebrate. I need to celebrate you. Thank you for being here. Whether you are here live in the chat, or you are here live with us but you are not in the chat, or you are joining us after the live stream, you're watching on replay, however you're joining us, thank you for being here. I am going to celebrate you at this time in this way. I have got my drink. This is great. My regulars can already feel the excitement and anticipation building up for being part of this very exciting ritual. I am going to count up to 3. It's going to be really good. At that time, I'm going to clink the screen. You are invited to join the rest of us as we cheers along and celebrate our togetherfulness. It's going to be really good. I'm going to start right now. It comes like this on 1. Whoa, that was really good. 2. Oh my goodness, we got the whole count up. Here it is. 3. Clink. Cheers, my friends. Oh man, that is good. Oh, there's just so much good. This is like a very high level of good that I'm experiencing at this time. Please like this video. I see in the house with us your man Nick Destroy is in the house. And also, oh, I got a nice, like, relaxing breath when I say this. Whoa! Also, please welcome our new friend, our new friend who is here with us, a fellow 505 user, came through to the most recent Tinkering in the Studio stream. Welcome. All right. So here's the good news. The good news is as follows. It is twofold. First bit of good news is you made the right decision in joining us. Second bit of good news. We have got a 505 beat making stream happening immediately, and you are part of it. And I do have the foundation of a beat. And here's what's going to happen on this stream. Because everything you're hearing is all vocals, the loopers make some sound effects, and then it makes it sound like this. It makes it sound like I have a bass line, and or whatever you call this thing. Or the drums. It's all vocals. But the loopers have sound effects, and the stream right now that we're doing together, on this stream, I'm going to be talking about how I make these sound effects. And I'm going to keep building up the beat and talking about what I do as I do it. This is great if you are thinking about getting one of these loopers and you just kind of want to see how does one artist use them. Also good if you're an existing 505 user and you just want to see how some other artist uses them. I always pick up something, at least one thing, when I see some other 505 artist. I'm like, oh, that's so clever, and and it expands my art. So existing 505 users, you get a lot out of this too. Plus, it's good if you just like gear, or if you just want to chill out and listen to some music while I make a beat. Now, I was under the impression, and I would have assumed that you had been also, but I'm going to check in with you. Listen to this check-in. I'm going to do a check-in. This is going to be great. You're going to feel like, man, that was a check-in. I have been feeling really good at this time. I'm feeling like, man, this stream is just absolutely like 10 out of 10. Everything is just working so very well. That's how I had been feeling. And that's what I'm checking in with you about. Yeah, I wasn't alone, and this is going well. And then, I mean, in addition to all that, I looked over and I saw that Moses has joined us, and then it was like it got turned up to 11 at that point. I was like, oh man, it's much better now. It's so much better that it's like an entire unit of better. A unit of better. Betterfulness? A unit of good. Plus 1 unit of good. Alright, friends, so we are doing a 505 beat making stream. Let's get into it. I made this foundation beat already. How did I make this one? In general, I use my two loopers differently. The bottom one is the first loop, is the first generation. I use that for percussion or other things that don't require any kind of musical tonality, like chaos, like random noises, or maybe vocals, raw vocals. That's the bottom looper, otherwise only percussion. The top looper is for anything that carries a beat, or I'm sorry, anything that carries a melody, anything that carries a tone. By the way, this beat that we are rocking out to on the stream today, for my musician friends who like to jam along, this is tuned to the key of E. Tuned to the key of E. Beats per minute is 144.9. And you got the drums. All of the drums you're hearing right now, let me take the bass out. All this drum stuff, this is passed through two input layers. You can stack input effects when building, when doing any kind of input into it. You can stack multiple levels of effects. And for these drums, they all had the same input effects, which was an EQ. This is the technical details for anyone who's looking to like see about the looper details. It's passed through an EQ that has some of the low end boosted and has a little bit of the high end taken down. All the drums are built out of that as one of the input effects, and then that gets passed into a vocal distortion, which is what gives it that sort of like rough, grainy feeling or texture. Because a cappella, I am not some impressive, what are these? I'm trying to think of the Swiss beatbox competitions. I don't know what the name of those big organizations are. But there's these like international, global, really Olympic level beatboxers. That's not me. I am like, here's me doing a cappella beatboxing. That's what I sound like. But the looper is what makes it sound, more like it's some kind of sound effects. And so I have my different layers as I usually do. They're panned slightly differently. In this case, oh, by the way, if you didn't notice the upper right, always best to have headphones for my content, for my looper content. The panning is different across all of them. Where is the panning? I forget where that's setting. Oh, here it is. My kicks are at the center. This layer here, that's at the right it's to the right 3, which really means it's 6% to the right. So it's 3 out of 50. Right 3, and this shaker hi-hat thing, 14 to the left. I like to keep my layers at a weird panning, and I usually integrate all of them in a single palette that I built. Palette of sound effects, that is. Alright. So we got the drums. Not that much to them. It's just me going for the kicks, and I'm doing a couple layers of like things like that for that. And this layer, usually this layer I do like 4 or 5 overlays. This one I'm doing a little bit of like, and then I'm like, just that sort of noise. And because I have 2 loopers, I get to split all those up into multiple layers. Now I can control the kick independently of the other ones, which is really nice. When I had one looper, I had to do the drums all on one layer. But now it's much more flexible. After the drums, we got the bass. Robin says, regarding the beatboxer stuff, The Swiss twins are epic. I don't know the Swiss twins, but I might if I saw them. That's possible. I've seen a lot of those beatboxers. I don't remember all of them by name. They're so impressive. It's so amazing what modern beatboxers can do. These like global champions. They're astonishing. It's awesome how they're like advancing the state of the human race in that singular niche dimension. It's incredible. Steve says has to head out. My dude! Thank you for being here. So how'd I build this bass? That's the thing on the docket right now. Because we talked about the percussion. It's just a EQ going into a vocal distortion. And if you are into the 505 details, that just means the input effects and you find the effect I'm talking about. EQ, and then it goes into a vocal distortion. And you would tweak it, of course, to your level of comfort. I like to show how like I'm not that great when I do beatboxing. That's what I sound like. This bass line, this is not me singing. This is me going, ooh. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little, but you should, upon watching this stream, you should feel very confident in your ability to do this if you're wondering whether you could make some cool music. The answer is you totally could. You definitely could. So how do I make this bass line? My regulars know that all my bass lines are, I think all of them, tentatively asterisk, I reserve the right to have forgotten one or two or whatever. But most, if not all, of my basses are built out of the first effect. The top looper, I guess I should say, whereas the bottom looper is strictly percussion and things that are not melodic in any way, the top looper, I use a tuner on everything because that's one of the new features that the top looper brings with it as an upgrade from the Mark 1 going to Mark 2. The Mark 2 lets you auto-tune. So that's what everything that you'd hear on the top looper is, including this bass line. If you listen carefully, you might hear my voice crack a little somewhere. Maybe not in this recording. But of the 4 input layers or input effects in this bass, or in the case of this bass, it starts with guitar to bass, and that's how pretty much most or all of my basses begin. Guitar to bass is the input effect where if you were to plug in a guitar, play your guitar, this would make it sound like a bass. But I'm just using it to sing horribly into. And so it takes my voice, drops it octaves or whatever it does, and voila, we have a bass type of sound. But that's only the first of 4 sound effects. The guitar to bass is then passed into the electric. The electric is the auto tuner that I'm talking about. In this case, it's tuning it to an E major. Getting caught up on the chat. There's some follow-up regarding the Swiss twins and the beatboxing. I can think of some twins. I thought they were Russian though. Is there also a pair of Russian twins? They both have like blonde hair, I think. You usually see them together. I don't know if I've ever seen them apart actually. Probably have. Oh, Kenny G, is that another guy? Napalm, that's another guy. Oh, what's the guy? Oh, what's his name? There's this guy who did this awesome. If you look up his wild card, I think maybe it's like 2023 or something, 2022. But his wild card Venom. Oh, it's so dope. It's so dope. Oh, I wish I could like point you to him if I can remember his name. Dang. Friends, I have to go and like open up a browser here. I got it. I got it. Trung Bao. Trung Bao. TRUNGBAO. Trung Bao. He's dope. He also, I think they got married. I believe he married. If not, they are like a couple. Some other beatboxer. So the two of them beatbox together. And they do all sorts of like really intricate. It's Chihuahua is her name. CHIWAWA. Trung Bao and Chihuahua. I reserve the right to have accidentally spelled either of their names wrong. But if you look up Trung Bao's Venom wildcard, oh man, it's so dope. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I wonder if those twins were the Russian twins. If maybe I'm wrong and I don't know why I thought they were Russian, but maybe those are the Swiss twins. I see Robin is adding some beatbox related comment. Robin says, I used to beatbox, and I'm not bad at it, but nowadays I usually use a finger drum pad. That's cool. That's a unique combination, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that. Maybe not transition, but how do you feel about doing finger drumming, having been a decent beatboxer? Because I look at some finger drumming stuff, and I'm like, that looks cool. I think I could really get into that. I haven't tried it, though. I never got my hands on one of those, like, machina. You pronounce the E at the end? The machina. Or an MPC. I've never played around with one of those. I don't think. I reserve the right to have forgotten some isolated incident, I guess. But that looks fun, and I think I might, like, be able to develop a style. Robin says I'm probably talking about the same beatboxing twins who I mistakenly thought were Russian but are actually Swiss. Okay, yeah, they're dope. I do know if that's the same twins, they're dope. Definitely on the list. Robin says, do you know Beardy Man? Yes. I guess not. I don't know him well. How about that? I'm aware of the guy Beardy Man. I've seen a couple of his things. One of my first inspirations to get into looping, says Robin. That's cool. I assume you know Reggie Watts. And if you don't know Reggie Watts, for anyone, Reggie Watts is a great, like, get ready to have a great time. You know, he does looping stuff, but he gets real weird. And he freestyles lyrics. So I freestyle songs. I freestyle beats, but I also freestyle songs, like an intro and then like movements in the middle and then a closing end. I freestyle songs, but he freestyles all of that plus also lyrics. And his lyrics are highly engaging. Reggie Watts. WATTS. The person who inspired me to get into looping is Carnage the Executioner. If you're not familiar with Carnage, you should check him out. His, I would say, Instagram or YouTube are good ones to check out. Carnage the Executioner. I always wanted to do this stuff, this beatbox looper stuff. The first thing I ever did that was making original music of mine was basically this, but just not with loopers to make it sound cool. I was doing it into this like really low quality computer mic and just layering multiple beatbox layers. It was fun, I liked it, but you know, it quickly reached the limit of what I could do without any kind of sound effects. So I gave up on that for a long time, but I kept doing music in other ways. After a while, I started performing and performing rap. And I used to play shows with Carnage. And I remember the first time that I saw him. I think it was a night that I opened for him. I was just completely blown away. I was like, you could do this? He has the best live show. That's it. The best live show. If you get the chance to see Carnage the Executioner live, if you could see Carnage the Executioner, you could see him live, go to that show. Go to that show. But he does beatbox stuff. He doesn't have these loopers. Carnage has his own, like, homegrown stack of all sorts of, gear, like individual loopers and all sorts of sound effects and things. He built his looper get up back in like the early 2000s, I think. So it's all this homegrown, genius contraption type of stuff. And he comes with like a suitcase kind of thing. I don't know if it's literally a suitcase, but it's like, roughly that shape, and it opens. So I don't know exactly what it is, but imagine a big suitcase, but it's all stacked with gear. It's all stacked with all sorts of loopers and sound effects, and they're all in place already. And they're all like, well, I don't know if they're all wired in. I think they are, but don't quote me on that. He just opens the thing, and he's like, here's my show. Let's do it. And he'll just get down for as long as you ask him to, or as long as there's time for. Here, we booked him for a show to play an hour. Oh, look, it's 4 hours later. And he's still, knocking the absolute hell out of the whole venue. He's dope. So he does his beatbox stuff. And he raps and all of this. And as I say, after talking to him, after playing shows with him I don't know how long, eventually I was like, all right, I can't not do looping stuff. I can't not do beatbox looping stuff. Look at him up there doing his stuff. Touring. He's like one of the most hardest working independent artists you're going to meet. And he's way successful. I was like, I gotta do this. I can't stand here and look at the fact that Carnage exists and not start looping on myself also. So Carnage is the person who made me actually like do it. I had wanted one of these loopers for a long time, and I was like, I gotta do it. So I did it. Man, that was just like exactly the right decision. So we were talking about how I make this bass. I also didn't talk much about the echo. You hear the echo on the drums down here. In terms of 505 effects, that's a tape echo. Yeah, I'm just fiddling with the whatever you set it to. If you do that on your 505, that's what that is. It's a tape echo. I see there's some commentary as I still get back to the bass. That's still my priority here in terms of the progression of this revelation. I do see there's some follow-ups though regarding the finger drumming. Warheart says that MPC is too complicated. And yet things sounded very similar. So you wanted different. I understand what you're saying, I think. Robin says finger drumming on a Yamaha FGDP. Feels like finger drumming on a table. Uh-huh. I'm listening. Nice. Maybe go look that up later. There's a guy that I follow on Instagram called Lenstrumental. Like, instrumental, but L-E in the front instead of an I. So still just one N. Lenstrumental. He does not finger drum. I mean, he does do some finger drumming. But he does his pencils and pens. And he makes a whole, style out of it. And he's really dope. I mean, he has, very, very, very advanced, sophisticated technique. I mean, the guy's probably 20 years old, but I'm sure he's been penning on his table since he was 8 in school or something. Question mark. That's me speculating. I didn't hear that. But he's dope. If you do Instagram, first of all, if you do Instagram, follow me on Instagram. If you're a Discord person, send me a friend request on Discord. I have a Discord. We share music stuff. There's other stuff there too. You participate in whatever feels good to you. All right, the bass. All right. The bass. So the bass, again, starts with a guitar to bass. That's how pretty much all, if not all, of my basses are. To start with guitar to bass, feed that into an electric. That's the tuner. And then that, in this case, I fed into a sustainer, which is like a loudness, not just volume, but loudness. And then fed all of that into a reverse reverb. Now, if I just let you hear the bass for a second, there's not a lot of reverse reverb on it, but that is technically there a little. You can hear it a little at the end there. That's a reverse reverb, which is dope. That's another thing that the Mark II looper came with just leaps of advancement when it came to features and things. Because the bottom looper has one kind of reverb. The top looper has a bunch. It has, I guess maybe I shouldn't say a bunch, but at least 2 or 3. And same with delays and such. It has much more in terms of effects in the top looper. In addition to, the tuner, as I said earlier, and just more effects in general, not just output like echo and such. Plus, it lets you stack 4 input effects, not just 3 input effects. Oh man, I love it. The Mark II is such an improvement. Is the word I was looking for. Guitar to bass, electric, sustainer, reverse reverb. Then, whatever this is. Two layers of the same thing. Oh, by the way, my regulars know also, but my strategy for the top looper, for everything that's melodic in some way, is that it's all panned, and it's arranged physically on the looper according to how it's panned. My bass is generally this middle one, and that's center panned. And then I have generally 2 complementary layers that are harmonic of each other, but the same instrument. Or if they're not harmonic, then they somehow juggle a melody together while they can also stand on their own. So I usually do 2 layers like that are physically to the left and right of the bass and also panned left and right. So in this case, they're panned to, this one is 14 to the right, this one is 24 to the left. You remember that I told you the panning on the drums as well. So if you listen carefully to the panning, there's a lot of, not exactly where you might expect it for things to be positioned. It'd be so cool if I could control not just panning, but also some kind of full spatial stimulation. Just panning for now, though, I guess. Robin says, I hope if they make an MK3, yeah, first of all, yeah. that they have an update, or an update on the MK2, that lets you able to enable several banks of FX. You can do that. You can already do that. That's how I did this. Maybe I'm misunderstanding though. So I had this bass, and that's already programmed into this whole sound palette that I built. And that's only one set of sound effects, those 4 that I just described. I built the bass like this, whatever I just said. But then in addition to that, there's also this thing. That's a different set of sound effects. That's a different instrument. I have the bass, that's one instrument. I have this thing, that's another instrument. But they're both pre-programmed, and I have 4 instruments. So you can do that already. But I might be misunderstanding. So how do I build this thing? This thing is built out of the fundamental sound of this one is the synth. And I always talk about this one. The synth is like, you would use it compositionally in a manner like how you might use a horn, some kind of brass, a trumpet or whatever. That's what a synth is, at least in my style. So that's the bass foundational flavor or element of this instrument you're hearing. Robin has a follow-up regarding the different sound effects, saying, are you saying that you can have multiple sets of sound effects at the same time? Like bank A and bank C makes bank B. Oh, do you mean like take my baseline of 4 input effects and then also separate from that, take this like horn layer that we're going to talk about right now as another set of 4 input effects. So I got the bass of four inputs, this horn of 4 inputs, and make them both activated at the same time? Is that what you're saying? If so, the answer is that no, I'm not. I don't think that's the case. Or at least I don't know how to do that if that's possible. But just making instruments, it lets you program up to 4 instruments. And this horn-like instrument that we hear here, in addition to the bass line, that one's built out of the synth, as I say, but then that synth input layer is passed into a dynamics. The dynamics, usually I use that for the phone vocals. There's a bunch of different ways to control the dynamics of the sound. One of them is called phone vox, V-O-X. But that gives it like an intercom type of element, type of texture maybe. Intercom type of texture. Which I like. Answering machine type of texture. So we got the synth passed into the dynamics, which is the phone vocals. That gets passed into the electric, which is the tuner. And then that gets passed into the step slicer that you're hearing. That one's one of the most obvious that you hear right away. The step slicer. That's such a dope effect. I love it. That's one of the effects that it's very easy for me to overdo. Robin says, I want to have more input effects, more than just 4 input effects. Oh, well, I can hear you on that. I hear you on that. Yeah, I could see easily building another 6, 8, all that. Totally. So at this point, you are caught up regarding this foundational beat that I started before the stream even began. You know how I built every piece of this. You heard the different sound effects. But there's still 2 more instruments that I have. And there's 2 more empty slots. also let's go on to another instrument and do a loop with it. All right, I think I know which one I'm going to do. So I'm going to do this one here, and I'm going to tell you how I built it before I do it, and then I'm going to go off the vocal mic and make a loop with it. This one was built from this forthcoming instrument that you're about to listen to. This one was built from starting with an electric. Usually I don't start with that, so I'm a little surprised to see that. Started with electric, that's the tuner, making it an E major in this case. The electric, then that's passed into a synth. So this is going to be another synth. That's the one you'd use in some kind of, like a brass kind of way. Electric, synth, then it's passed into a phaser, which will likely be giving it a bit of a sort of wavy, undulating feel. And then all that's passed into a tremolo, and that has like a soft slicing feel. So let's do it. I'm going to go off the talking mic, and I'm going to start doing that other instrument, find something to loop. Let's do it. So there you go. This one. Robin says that tremolo is working. It's got some kind of like Daft Punk sort of vibe to it. I can see you saying that, now that you say that. So this one again was built out of electric, passed into a synth, passed into a phaser, and then all that passed into finally a tremolo. Yeah. And as I often say, you might have seen when I, like right after I made it, I pressed this green button, and then I went over here and I started moving this thing over here. I programmed this to be the volume, or no, that wasn't me who programmed this part. Anyway, that's standard. So that thing, and then I pressed this button over here. That's me just adjusting the volume because it was a little low compared to everything put together. So that's one of the things I'm always doing up here is I'm like tweaking the volume levels. These are a bit loud comparatively. Warheart says, can it stutter? That effect I was playing with wasn't a stutter, of course. This thing. Whatever it was. That was a vinyl flicked. Or, I'm sorry, flick. A vinyl flick. That's what it's called. As an output effect. Which is super fun. But Warheart was saying, can it do a stutter? Is that the kind of stuttering you talk about? Nice. Robin has another addition that references the scratching effect. That there was a comment in the previous stream about a trick that you figured out on your MK2. Possibly. It is totally a thing that I do totally sometimes miss some chats. I try to keep caught up as best I can, but sometimes I do miss some. So yeah, I see that, Robin, you're already adding. It was about using a reverse. Yeah, the reverse. With a fader. The reverse is dope. I use it like nowhere near the amount I should. Maybe for this final instrument here, let's see. Maybe there could be a way that I... Maybe I can... Warheart says, is this reversible too? Yeah, any track you can reverse. Ta-da. And to celebrate all of this, we are fortunate to have Trust with us immediately. The honor is ours. So maybe for the final instrument, I don't know if I'm not making a promise about this. Let's get this straight. Let's make sure we're clear about this. Let's be crystal clear. I don't want to hear anything later about how I wasn't clear about this. Let's get clear. If, without making any promises, if perhaps there is a way that I can make this final loop layer with the final instruments to have some kind of like cool reverse aspect to it, if there's some way to do that, I'll see if play around with that maybe. Warheart says that I'm convincing him to get a 505. I mean, here's the real truth. You ready for this? I'm gonna tell you like the real truth that like you would want someone to actually tell you. Here it is. Ready for this? I'll put it very simply. If you're able to find the budget for it, you know, if that part is okay, if there's no budget concern, then I mean, it's like there's a lot of possibility if you're drawn to it. There's so much like, as I said, possibility. It is very pluripotent. It has a pluripotence. It has a plurality of potency. It has many potencies. A lot of possibilities that you can do. It's complicated. That's what I'm trying to say. It's complicated. So there is a bit of like figuring it out, but speaking purely from my own case, I had absolutely no difficulty figuring it out. It did take time. It took a little bit of tinkering and then, you know, figuring out what is this button control, but it's very doable. And if it's something that you're drawn to, as I say, if the budget is not an issue, you're able to handle that part, I think it's totally a worthy exploration. I might be saying all that because this is my primary form of musical expression. If you're getting the looper as a secondary, or like, you know, you already have a huge collection of gear and you're just gonna like plug the 505 into maybe this spot, it'll fit. If it's that kind of situation, I don't know, you'll see how much you use it. But as I say, for me, it's a primary form of expression. I love it. I'm only gonna say good things about it. See, Robin is a 505 user as well. You can ask Robin stuff. Robin says it's a deep rabbit hole, but it gives you so many new possibilities. See? Robin gets it. We got some glitch-related comments. Glitch hop. Glitch chop. Trusto says he's having some kind of glitch-related issues on his 505. If that's the case, maybe I can talk to you. Maybe we can see if there's some kind of something, I don't know what might be happening. But I'd be willing to talk to you about that if you like. Warhard says, yeah, that budget part is definitely a prerequisite that needs more solidity. Yeah, then don't, you know. If the budget is an issue, no, that it's not worth that. I wouldn't say. But if you do get to a point, you know, you put $20 in a jar for 300,000 years, then that might work. So let's do this final layer here, and the final instrument that I have programmed. So here's what this forthcoming instrument that you haven't heard yet. This one is built out of the following. Nice, this one's gonna be good. It's built out of a preamp, which is what it sounds like, as if you took your guitar, you know, you're doing your 15-year-old punk rock performance where you took your electric guitar and you plugged it into an amp. That's this effect, the preamp. It gives it that kind of feel. And so that's what we're about to hear in a second. We're not hearing it yet. It's built out of a preamp as the core essence. And then that gets fed into electric Electric being the tuner. Preamp, which is literally like an amp, fed into the electric, which is a tuner. And then that gets fed into a vibrato or vibrato. I don't know how to pronounce that. Vibrato. That's probably what it is. Vibratol. And whatever it is, it's passed into that. And that does give it like a vibraty, undulaty kind of feel to it. Preamp, electric, vibrato, and then that gets fed into a tremolo. So you may notice that multiple tracks have a tremolo or a slicer. You might remember this one had a slicer on it. Anytime I do that in one of my palettes, anytime I do that across my 4 instruments, I always synchronize them. So, for example, in this case, this one that I'm about to do is what do you call this? An eighth triplet, a triplet eighth note. So they're all synchronized like that. That doesn't necessarily they're all the same frequency rate, I guess it's called here. But you know, if one of them is a triplet eighth note, I might make one of a different one a quarter note triplet. Is that what you say? Quarter note triplet? An eighth note triplet and a quarter note triplet. So they sort of like, there's a little bit of room to play around with that, but I do like to keep them synchronized. Because one of the things I learned over the years when I used to compose in Reason, I composed. When I used to make like unlistenable garbage in Reason, I would often make layers that would like clash with each other, and they're like every layer is trying to be center stage. Every layer is trying to take the spotlight. You know, early years of making music sounded like that. But nowadays, I try to make the different layers in sync with each other as much as possible. Built on the drums. I always start with the drums. I guess I don't have to, but I do. I need to set a beats per minute at least. But then once I add everything else in there, it's all like synchronizing with everything. I want all the layers to be unified into like a single experience. So in any case, tremolo, slicer, all of these things are synchronized to some degree. Warheart clarifies how to pronounce it. It's vibrato. Good. Thank you for clarifying. And the most clarifying experience of all is when we have the good fortune, the very, very good fortune, to be joined by the crazy woman. As we are right now, and we are very fortunate and blessed. I see there's some more discussion around building a studio, balancing a budget, a lifelong thing. You keep coming back to it. That's cool stuff, man. I like hearing this kind of talk. So we got this next and final instrument that I'm going to make the final layer with. And I'll see if there's some way that... I'm trying to think how... You know, what's a good way to incorporate... some reverse. So I'm thinking about that. Once again, preamp. Let me do that. Preamp, electric, vibrato, tremolo. Warheart says I work DAWless. Yeah. The DAWless community. Are you familiar with Hardware Jams? If you're DAWless, you should totally check out Hardware Jams. If you're not familiar with that. And of course, this goes for anybody listening. If you either are a DAWless musician, which, by the way, if you don't know what DAWless means, DAW means Digital Audio Workstation. And that's like software you would use to produce music. And so the idea is that is a DAW, and there's a whole category of musicians who are DAWless, meaning only using hardware, no DAW, no software, just hardware, synthesizers. In my case, I just use the loopers or my synth. I'm not using it today, but that's the only other thing I use, and my voice when I do raps. when I do raps, and that's a fact. You have to add that you dig it when I do it and I bring it, cause the music is in the groove and I swing it, and it's nice and you think it is really tight and you wish that it would be something in which you could sink in. So I do rap sometimes also, and when I do, that's my voice. That's also jawless. That's not AI. Although you can make AI do some raps. I see right now in the chat we have our friend Mango C4. Says I didn't see the raps coming. Good. Good. Warheart is responding from what I was talking about earlier. I'm getting caught up on the chat. Warheart is asking about the hardware jams. Yeah, totally. Like, totally do it. There's a Facebook group and a YouTube page. If you go to the YouTube page, they have all sorts of, at least every week on Mondays, and then sometimes more, they do a live stream of the whole community, like anybody who wants to participate in this weekly challenge. They put out a challenge every week for you to just whip something up in 2 days, or I guess technically 3, up to 3 days. And everybody, there's however many hundreds of people. But the challenges are things like, write something with a certain time signature they did once. That was the first one I ever did. Because I like weird time signatures. I might do those in a Tinkering in a Studio stream one day. I did once before, a couple times. There's a couple streams where I did some weird time signatures. Anyway, hardware jams is more like, write something that would be a theme for the Lord of the Rings. Write something that uses only 2 bits of gear. You can't use your whole studio. I remember once there was something that was like, use exactly 5 wires in your entire setup. So they do all sorts of different levels of stuff. Write something that would be really picturesque as you're watching the sunset. Write something that would be a good soundtrack for like running at night because you're scared of, something chasing you, like whatever they do. They do a weekly challenge every Friday. And usually you get like 20 or 30 people who submit a song. Up to 5 minutes tops. And then we just do a stream for like 3 or 4 hours just playing everybody's songs. And everybody's talking about it. They're like, oh, this bass line is so dope. What is he using to do that? It's a cool, lively chat. The stream host always does some commentary as well. So yeah, it's hardware jams. It's dope. There's a bunch of people in the chat right now who know hardware jams. I see also that symptoms has joined us. All right. So we got this final instrument we got to do. We got to get down to business here. We got to get serious. We got to accomplish things, and there's specific objectives that are well defined, and we have a schedule. and there's outcomes that need to be measured, and there's a deliverable whose quality must be assessed. There's serious business at hand, my friends. Here is the serious business that is at hand. We got this final instrument. Okay, so this final instrument here, again, we haven't heard it yet, but it's about to be built from. Preamp, electric, vibrato, tremolo. Okay, so there's that one. Built out of the... I'll bring it back in just 1 second, as soon as the loop starts. It's twice as long. The loops are different panning. These are the far left and right panning. I'm sorry, there's the far left and right panning. So this one, this new instrument I just brought in. Once again, this one is built out of preamp, which gives it the, 14-year-old punk rock electric guitar and a literal physical amp. Gives it that kind of, I don't know what to call it, edgy loudness. The preamp into electric, into the vibrato, then into a tremolo. So that was that one in reverse. Nothing special there. I like using the reverse when I have a heavy reverb or some echoes. That works too. I was thought about putting some reverb or some echoes on that layer before I recorded it, but And by the way, if that wasn't clear, what my reaction was, let me just do it one more time. I was like, oh man, this is good. What a productive 505 beatmaking stream this has been. By the way, continuing on with just some more thoughts regarding how cool this stream is. I record my, or not record, but I save my beats and then sometimes use them later. Sometimes. And sometimes I'll put together a little like 2 or 3 minute song, taking the beats, taking the loops that I made on one of these streams, and you know, making it sound nice with a nice arrangement, flipping them on and off. Sometimes I do a rap on it. My most recent one was pretty nice, I think. I got a lot of positive feedback on that one. What was that one called? What was that most recent song I did that had a rap in it? Dang. Oh, Pay the Price, it's called. You should check that out. Check out that video that recent, what was it, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago or something? But that's an example of what I mean. I got a playlist called Live Looping Improv. Or I'm sorry, called Live Looping Beats. The playlist is called Live Looping Beats. That's what I'm talking about. There's 4 or 5 songs on there. So I do that sometimes too. I might do that with this one. Maybe not. I don't know. But this one's pretty good. This has been a really good stream. Thank you for being here. And in fact, as we celebrate this stream being good and altogether having been an uplifting and enriching and altogether good experience, friends, I need to celebrate. I need to celebrate you. Whether you are here with us live in the chat, or you are here with us live, but you are not in the chat. Or maybe you're joining us after the stream, watching on replay. However it is that you're joining us, my friends, I'm going to celebrate you at this time. I have my drink. I am going to count up to 3. I'm going to clink the screen. You are invited to join the rest of us as we cheers along and celebrate our togetherfulness. But friends, this wonderful journey that we can embark upon together right now. It all begins on 1. Whoa, that was really dramatic. Is it building up to something? Yes, it is. 2. Oh my goodness, it actually is building up. I wasn't joking around. It's going to be so good when it comes together on 3. Clink. Cheers, my friend. This is really good. please like this video. Please subscribe. Robin says, whoa. Robin says, I'm getting caught up because I temporarily had an issue. I was away for the stream for a little bit. I'm getting caught up right now. And I see that we're talking about Dauntless. Yeah, Robin, if you missed the discussion about hardware jams, you should check it out as a Dauntless musician. Hardware Jams is this cool community. Facebook, YouTube, you'll find hardware jams. There's a weekly challenge every Friday that it's to make a song according to whatever. The challenge is wildly different every week. And then is this long stream on Mondays where we listen to everybody's song. 20 or 30 people make some songs and we listen to it. And as a Dauntless musician, you might be interested. So check that out. In the meanwhile, my friends, I hope to see you in the next live stream. We have a very delicious menu available of live stream content. Today we are in the upper right corner, the 505 Beatmaking. That's where we build a beat over, what is it, an hour and a half? We did an hour and a half on this stream. Most streams are an hour or more. So we built up a beat. I described everything I'm doing on the 505s. I talk about the technical details of things. I can try to help if you have whatever that you need. That's the upper right corner today. But we got these other types of streams as well. The upper left, that's where I do a bunch of songs, like fully fleshed out songs and stuff, but all improvised. It's like you saw me playing at some dive bar. You saw me playing a live show at some dive bar with like 20 people in it. And I'm putting on like a show. You know, I'm not just messing around. I'm putting on a show. The song's got a start and a middle and an end, but it's all improvised. That's Loops and Chill in the upper left. The lower left, we got the unspoken, no talking at all, just improvising. And that also includes the Hydrosynth Explorer, which is dope, and it adds so much. Then in the lower right, we got Tinkering in the Studio. That's where we hang out for an hour or sometimes like 2 hours. We got the Hydrosynth, we got the loopers. We talk about all sorts of stuff. We had a great Tinkering in the Studio the other day. Robin was there for that one. It was awesome. The last hour, it was 2 hours, the most recent Tinkering in the Studio. That was from June 23rd, 2025. If you're someone who wants to reference the stream I'm talking about. The Tinkering in the Studio stream from June 23rd, 2025. 2 days ago. That Tinkering in the Studio stream, 2 hours. The last hour of it, we were talking about all sorts of cool stuff. Consciousness and AI, different levels of awareness, how we have something in us that is essentially an AI, but we also have the capacity for more. And so wouldn't it be cool if humanity was like compelled, because AI will handle the stuff that we already can do with our AI. We offload it to technical AI, and that opens us up more for creativity, higher levels of awareness, higher levels of stuff like this. We talk about this in the Tinkering in the Studio. And also, you know, fresh fruit and tamarind and all this. Tinkering in the Studio is great. It's the most freeform. Whatever it is, whatever is the next stream where I see you again. Whenever it is that I see you again, whichever type of stream it is. Until then, please, excellent rest of your day today. Please let the rest of your day today bring you all manner of goodness. Please open yourself to receive all sorts of great healing today. Healing beyond what others say is possible today. Please receive blessing and healing even that defies your own belief today. Please let today be the beginning of entirely new, wonderful, amazing chapters in your life today. And I will see you in the next Reconsider It live stream.